on to our main topic of discussion. Yeah, we both saw Justice League that came out last week.
So
I
now
watched
is the
it.
Justice League talk. This means that we're going to
This
talk about a
non-spoiler
little
talk.
bit, just saying if we liked it or not.
Yeah, for sure.
But then we're going to start talking about the movie because it's
But
too
once we
hard
talk
to
about the
try and
movie, we'll
dance
definitely
around
let
it.
you guys know. Yeah,
There'll be
it's
where it says
spoiler.
Justice League, that will pop up with a spoiler tag instead, so
Big
you will
spoiler
know.
tag.
But anyway,
So I caught it on a Thursday, which was your Wednesday. You caught it on
Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon. So what are your thoughts? Like, non-spoilery thoughts regarding it? Did you go into it with any expectations?
I went in with the lowest expectations because I was expecting to come out of it as crestfallen as I was when I saw BVS, which I was fully like hearing sad Charlie Brown music when I walked out of the theater. I legitimately was like looking at my feet as we walked out of the theater being like, I just don't know how to feel about what I just saw. This movie, I kind of set myself there, and I said if it's better than that, then we're pretty good. My only problem with the movie is not with the movie itself, with my anticipation for the movie, is that I knew too much about the drama behind the scenes. Because I think it would have changed my opinion of it maybe if I didn't know that the directors changed. I didn't know that that there were so many rewrites, that I didn't know about the reshoots and the digital lips and all that stuff. If I didn't know about any of that, I think that I might have had a different experience. I might have been looking at it differently. I kind of want to see it again so I can just kind of view it,
take it in.
I don't know if I'll get to before it's like out on Blu-ray, but
I'm probably gonna see it once it's on Blu-ray again. Like, I think it's tricky because obviously we do this podcast, we like to discuss movies and stuff like that in general. It's hard to not know of all the issues that go behind certain films.
Right.
Like, obviously things that we're more interested in, obviously. Like, say with Star Wars, I don't really like, I'm gonna watch it anyway, so I don't really care. I don't really look out for all that stuff.
Right.
But for something that's more related to, say, comic books and stuff, it's like, oh, okay, you hear about these things constantly. So I'm curious, like, I think people without any knowledge of what's going on would have probably enjoyed this a lot more.
Maybe. I think that it might have just let me enjoy it in a different way if I wasn't aware of those things. Because like I think the biggest culprit is the digital lip on Henry Cavill. I wish I didn't know. Because
if I didn't know, I would have just looked at it and go, all right.
I might have noticed something was wrong with his face, but I wouldn't have thought about it too hard. But because I knew about it, every time he showed up, I was like, "Yep, that's weird," and I'm gonna stare at it the whole time. Because
it wasn't all the time.
It wasn't all the time, but it's hard to tell.
But you could tell, like, obviously that was only done for the reshoots, so you know what was the reshoots.
Right. There was a few like things that stood out, so you knew there were reshoots. Like Affleck's hairline changes a couple times, and his face gets kind of puffed out, and he gets like a little belly when he's walking around. Because obviously it had been some time, and he'd let himself happen. But
life, man.
Yeah, so it's obviously a different situation.
Would you though? Okay, non-spoiler. Obviously, we can't talk about that because most of the things that we can talk about has to be spoilery.
Right.
Prior to that, though, would you recommend this?
I would recommend seeing it at least once. I don't like with a lot of the Marvel movies. I go 2 times minimum while they're in theaters. If I really enjoyed myself,
Right. Or if I can find the time, primarily.
Right. Yeah. Like with Thor, I saw that 2 times right away. This one, I don't know. Like, I'd like to see it again. I just don't know how big of a priority it's going to be, and I don't know if I'd be able to convince anybody to go with me to see it. Whereas, it's different if the movie's like Amazeballs, But I went with a couple friends, and I went with my mom. She didn't know any of the behind the scenes stuff.
Did you enjoy it?
And yeah, she loved it. She thought it was great. And at the end of it, she was like, "You know what? I think they just gave Marvel a run for their money."
And you know what? Good on them.
Right, some people are gonna
That's it.
feel
That's
that
what we're
way.
after.
Right.
For sure.
It's weird that critics are shitting on it so hard when generally
honestly,
audiences
at
are
this
seeming
point,
to like it.
I feel like some of the actual reviews are way harsher than they need to be.
I feel like some of those motherfuckers just get ready to hate it. They don't even gotta
For real.
watch it or pay attention. They're just
For
like,
real.
"I'm ready
For
to hate
real.
it. Everybody decided we need to hate it."
Yeah.
But anyway, expectations were low.
I would recommend it.
But I did, yeah.
recommend it.
Again, I would recommend it at least one time.
Absolutely. Like, I think you'll actually have it. I think you'll find aspects of this that you will definitely.
There's enough big fan moments
Absolutely.
that is worth seeing on the big screen once. That's my opinion on it.
For sure. For sure.
Would you say that you how many chaps out of chippers would you give it?
How many Chipper Chaps out of what?
Out of 10 chaps.
Out of
how
10
many
chaps?
How chipper are these chaps?
This is hard, actually.
Yeah?
I'd say probably. Do you know what? Probably six or seven.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.
I'm being generous right now because I did have it wasn't a Suicide Squad for me.
No, I think I'd give it a 7.5.
I'd give it a 7.
Because there was enough fan fun moments in it.
Absolutely, yep.
And the things that were weird.
Weird.
They're weird either way. There's nothing you could do about it. But there was only a couple things in it that bothered me. Rather when I walked out of BVS, there was quite a few things that I was bothered by walking out of it.
That's the problem. It's about, if you weigh it all out,
right.
There was more issues that I had with BVS and say Suicide Squad that I had with this.
Mm-hmm.
There were moments that I enjoyed in both BVS and Suicide Squad.
Of the DC movies out, how would you rank this in the DC movies they've put out?
I mean, I still like Man of Steel the most.
There's 4, right? Man of Steel,
5,
BVS.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay. Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League. So,
I still think Man of Steel is my favorite.
Okay.
Wonder Woman would be after that. I think this, then BVS, then Suicide Squad. Mm. That's how it's for me, anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I feel similarly. I think for Man of Steel, it's the best one to me, just because you can tell it is the most untouched from its original vision.
Bingo. Because they knew what they wanted.
They knew what they wanted.
I had issues with it still. Mm-hmm. I had issues with aspects of it, but to me, it was the most. This is what we're doing. That's it. This is what we're doing. And
I think some of that comes from the fact that originally it was supposed to be fitting in with Nolan's Batman.
Right.
So they went, everything is real. So it's as real as you can get, yada yada. Superman, if he existed in today's world. And then after they couldn't get Bale back, they were like, fuck it, let's do a whole cinematic universe that's new. Superman was the beginning. And then they were upping the comic bookiness of it because they went all in on that.
I kind of wish they just actually tried to maintain that.
The realistic thing?
Kind of.
I don't know if they could, because they were about to be and Batman and Wonder Woman and yada yada and yada yada.
But I still think you could do that, but set it in a more grounded reality.
For sure.
Without feeling too grim dark or.
But I think the grimdark is how Snyder interprets it's real.
Right, I guess.
But anyway, so I give it a 7.5. He gives it a 6 or 7. And
6-7.
Now we're gonna talk about this stuff in depth, spoiler style. So if you don't want to know nothing, now's the time to go.
Movie.
Watch the movie and then come talk to us. Tell us your emotions on it. Because I would love to hear.
Even I can't.
That's fine too. Okay, so now we got the spoiler tag up.
Sweet.
So
So the first scene of the film
Yeah.
are these little kids filming on their phone Superman after he's saved somebody,
Okay.
and then you see Superman turn to the camera. It's like, oh, Superman. What do you love about Earth and all that type of stuff? And you get to see
I
Superman.
missed that completely.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I missed that completely. Did you not
get this scene?
I think we did, but I just didn't catch the very, very beginning of the movie.
Okay, because that's when I first spotted his
His
lips.
weird digital lip.
That was, to me, that was the part that, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, now I know what this whole film is going to be like.
Okay.
Because it looked
yeah,
jacked.
I didn't catch that.
But that was the first scene where I was like, oh, cool, Superman's actually smiling. This is nice.
Right. That's
like,
interesting.
He actually felt, it's weird because I was like, this is the most Superman I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of him actually being
so
Superman.
they start this movie with a clip of Superman. Okay, see, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
When
I
came into it, it was on a Batman scene, so I didn't know.
Yeah. That's why I was like, they started it with Superman in his like super vibrant blue suit.
Was it supposed to be a scene that we had seen before?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, this was a thing that happened before he died that we just didn't see.
Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo. Because you know how obviously throughout the film they established it's like, we've lost our hope, blah blah.
Right.
Like,
so what was he saving the kids from?
What's up?
What was he saving the kids from?
Oh no, he didn't save the kids. He saved like a fiery building or something, and kids and just a crowd were just obviously seeing it happen, and these kids were just they just wanted to they were just wanting to ask him questions, and like once he settled, like he was talking to police officers and stuff, and so once he finished talking with them, he actually wanted to speak to these kids, and I was like, oh man, he's being a Superman. He's actually like being the Superman that we're more familiar with in that sense. So he answered, like, because I asked him, like, so what is a symbol of hope and blah. He's like, and he was talking, he was like, oh, it's kind of like a river flowing, oh no, it's like something with life and stuff like that. But then the last question was like, so what do you love the most about Earth? And before he can answer it, the film kind of cuts off, and then it was the Batman scene, kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a weird place to cut it.
Right.
But interesting. I guess maybe Whedon thought they needed a shot like that. So how did you feel about this version of Batman with the old school theme and all that?
I was actually quite annoyed that we got Alphaman doing the music, which I was like, all right, he could be great, but I don't understand the need to, because they also did throwback to John Williams' score for Superman. I don't think that was necessary.
Right.
For both the Batman theme and the Superman theme, like, don't link back to things that aren't even part. Like, don't do this to be the whole nostalgia. Remember this? It's like, no, we do, but this is not it. It doesn't belong here. So that bothered you more than
Spider-Man getting like a version of his classic theme?
Well, I don't know. Like, it's this one. It just,
because if you think about how old those themes are now,
right?
They're kind of their classic.
I get it, themes. But you've already established new ones.
But they haven't established them. Superman's theme was cool, but it is a newly being born Superman. Whereas now we're supposed to be seeing Superman in his prime or whatever.
And I understand it from that point of view. Like, if it's like, okay, this is the Superman that we were we miss, so let's play this one. The timing of when they played that, the little stinger of Superman's theme was weird.
Is that not in that video? Or they waited till the video the kids were taking?
Nah.
Okay, they didn't play the theme there? They waited?
Nah.
Okay.
I think the first time I noticed that the classic Superman one was when he actually first woke up.
Okay. Because I noticed it there too, but it was like kind of dark sounding, which which I thought was neat. I thought that was cool. It was like an evil version of it.
By the way, I love that whole scene. Was probably one of my favorite scenes of the entire film.
For sure was my favorite scene in the whole movie.
It was easily, because I was like, that battle, the Amazon battle, was better than the final battle.
For sure, but that battle sort of ruined the rest of the movie in a way for me.
It really did.
Because
it really did. It set a bar.
Exactly. It set a bar for the kind of fight that they would be up against. And once that you see how they're getting mollywopped by Superman, like they are nothing to him.
I was so
which was great. But it makes Steppenwolf instantly not seem like a threat because you're like, oh, okay, absolutely. That dude's back. And they got him back way earlier than I would have guessed.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, let's go back to the start with Batman. The Batman scene being all dark and demonic type, kind of weird.
I liked it. It didn't bother me.
It's just I find it weird how everyone just shouts each other's names.
What do you mean?
Like when he's just yelling Alfred, I'm like, dude, you're still tying up a dude, and you're saying Alfred on your bloody.
Right, like he should have a call sign or something.
Something, have him say something.
Right. He should just call him Oracle.
Right, just give him a nickname.
Right, like, that's what I'm saying. He needs a call sign.
That's a nice, nice nugget.
Right. Then Oracle is just whoever his guy in the chair is.
Exactly.
So if it becomes Batgirl later, then it's fine.
Exactly. Or maybe it was at one point. Who knows?
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
That scene was neat because it was Batman being Batman. I like that. I kind of like how Batman was represented in this film, where he's getting owned. And he's useless at times.
See, I didn't like that. That was garbage to me because that's not the character at all.
You're human compared to the rest of them.
For sure, but it's not what the character is. The character
completely.
The character is human while being completely superhuman.
Absolutely. He is also. This film was so weird for me with Batman because I was like, I don't like that he's got humor.
Oh, like he'll drop one-liners or whatever?
That's not Batman. At least for what I know as Batman. Everyone else, like, if Flash is doing it, sure. If Aquaman's doing it, sure. But Batman should be the straight and narrow of the lot.
Right.
It felt weird.
I feel like whenever you watch like the Justice League cartoon or whatever, because I don't read a lot of Justice League books, so I don't know what his dynamic is all the time. But I do remember once he started to feel comfortable
with the rest, he would be a little bit more lighter with
he had lighter tone and he could do that. And it's one movie, so they don't got time for him to be.
That's true.
And he just got done being extremely dark, brooding Batman.
Right.
So he had to get to the comfortable stage right away.
Like throughout this film, it's so bizarre because it's like he keeps saying it's like we need Superman and stuff. And I was like, dude, you wanted to kill him.
Right.
The last time we saw you wanted to end him.
For sure.
And now you're like, we need him.
Right.
He was a hope. He was a symbol of hope. I'm like, wow, you changed like 180, bro.
Well, that 180 change though happened at the end of BVS.
I get it.
Because he did end that by saying, I made the wrong call.
Yeah, he's like, I really fucked up.
Right. I understand.
Like, I took things way too
his
far.
sacrifice, and I'll never make that mistake again. Yada yada.
Mm-hmm. That's why now he's like, I'm gonna do what I can just to try and bring that guy back.
But I just felt like this movie was like just 2 hours, but I would have been totally fine with it being like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
because I felt like there was almost no time to breathe in this movie. Like they jumped from scene to scene, especially in the later half of the movie. I feel like we jumped through that shit real quick, real staccato.
There was not a single breathing space. It was just
and especially at the end, they were just like, and we're done. All right, everybody go home.
We're all smiling now.
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre in that way. But so the formation of the team, your first impression of. What did you think of the Wonder Woman intro? Because she's the first person we see, other than Batman.
Cool, because it's almost like, hey, remember that last film that you saw from us, the Wonder Woman film that you guys loved?
Right.
We'll give you a little bit more of that, but in a modern time. So that was neat.
Yeah, it was cool seeing how she would deal with modern day terrorists.
Yeah, I love the bullets.
The thing where she was like scooting in front of the people to
Yeah.
block all the bullets was insane looking. That was
Yeah,
like
like
Dragon Ball stuff.
that's what I'm saying. Like, but again, like I'm not doubting Snyder with all that stuff. He's stuff in Man of Steel with Fiora.
Right.
Oh, still to me, right now, is still some of the best shots.
Mm-hmm.
With Fiora doing that in
Yeah.
that first film, where she's just owning those soldiers, dope. So loved it. That intro of Wonder Woman was great. The whole removal of the bomb and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the second one that they introduced us to?
Well, it was I
Was
guess
it Aquaman or Flash?
I think it was Flash after that. No.
It was Aquaman.
I think it was Aquaman next because they show him like out in the tundra or some shit.
Aquaman's a weird character.
You think so?
It's kind of bizarre because it's like, for a while at the start, anyways, he's kind of just like, no, I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
For sure, he definitely had
Until it
like
really
I have
affected
my own thing going on.
Right.
But I was confused by
obviously-
what his own thing is. I also
Right.
don't know. I don't understand how old he is because that town they had like the mural on the
painting on the
wall
wall?
that looked hella old of him like raising up fish and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been doing it forever. But at some point he does say, "I'm too young to die," and
Yeah.
in this entire time that he's been around, helping people with fish and stuff, where he has ancient stuff, he's never been to Atlantis before.
Well, no, because remember when he returns, when he goes down there, and Mira is like, oh, so the prince has finally returned or some shit like that.
Right, but he said in interviews and stuff that Arthur Curry has never been to Atlantis.
But see, I'm only gonna take what they've given me in this film.
But even in the film, they never give us anything that says that he's
other
been
than-
there.
Other
Because
than her saying,
it was supposed to be the first time he's met her too in that scene.
is it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which
I don't know,
which
dude.
was confusing to me because I was like, one, I don't know how he automatically knows where to go, and why wouldn't he have gone there before? Plus, when she's like, your mom would have been the one up there fighting that dude if she was still around. So now it's got to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna need something. And then next scene, he's got the full armor and the Quinn dent.
Right.
And I'm like,
Again, so many scenes cut
but
out.
how did he even know to ask for
Yeah.
that stuff specifically?
I don't know.
What did
I
you
don't
think
know.
of the look of the Aquaman scenes? Did it make you excited for a whole movie like that?
Nope.
I guess I was waiting to see how they communicate with each other underwater.
Clearly, Mira had to basically make a.
She made
air
like
bubble.
she made a bubble for them to talk, but it's also like, okay, so she seems unique in her ability to do that with the water. Does everyone have to do something like that? Are all the buildings have
Because I
air
don't know
pockets?
if they're gonna do that. If they're gonna do a whole film where they just continuously do that, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's gonna be bizarre. Like
Yeah, it's
but
gonna be
also like, what are
okay,
the
cool,
alternatives? Are
let's-
they just gonna make them talk and we can hear them normally underwater, like Little Mermaid? Or is it gonna be a telepathy thing?
'cause
Like,
I honestly thought it would be like telepathy.
but then the whole movie they're just staring at each other. Nobody's having any like, like how would you do in this movie? You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's so bizarre.
That's why I don't know. Like, it doesn't really give me any. It gives me a slight indication of what it could look like, but for all I know, it could change. A lot of things can change.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
am I gonna check that film out? I don't know.
What'd you think of Cyborg?
I actually thought it was decent.
Yeah, he didn't bother
Like,
me as much as I thought
no.
he was going to.
That's exactly it. Like at the start, I was like, I know nothing of the character really. I know, I wasn't a big fan of his look, but I'm kind of glad that he was actually covered up for a lot of it.
And since we're already talking about spoilers, his look
Yeah,
does
yeah.
change by the end.
Exactly. Oh, and like, yeah, they gave us the look that we're so familiar with, and like,
They
oh,
gave
cool.
us hints
And
at
makes
it,
sense.
hints that it will
Yeah.
look more like that.
But it kind of makes sense though, because like in the film they explain that he learns something new every day.
Right, he's constantly evolving.
Absolutely. So because of that, I was like, neat. And he was very useful character. He played him well.
He played him fine. Yeah, nothing
played
about
him
it
well.
bothered me. It's. I think
I
the
can't
thing
see
that
I can't see a cyborg movie.
right, not by himself.
No, no.
The thing that bothers
Maybe,
me
like,
though,
Titans? So,
is how much stuff from the trailers were not in the
oh,
movie. Like his
the
whole,
Iron Man
yeah,
face?
his whole
Yeah,
covering his face thing and
yeah,
flying up into the clouds, that was
yeah. Did
gone.
not see any of that. None
Um,
of that.
there's a few shots that were completely gone from that
Oh,
shit. I'd have to go
there
through
was
like a
also a
list
few
of.
shots of him that the CG just looked awful.
All right, stuff where they probably had less time to do it, like reshoot
Like when
stuff.
he's like turning his head.
Mm-hmm. But I
And
found his CGI way better or way
oh
less
yeah,
offensive than
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. I
Steppenwolf.
really thought that guy looked terrible.
We
Why
haven't got
didn't they
him
just
yet.
use a real face?
Dude, I don't even know.
Just
I
get a
don't
guy in
even
a suit
know.
and make him look bigger or something. I don't know. It was just bizarre.
I don't even know. That thing confused me so much. And to me, I was like, that Steppenwolf. I don't know. I don't know. I
It
was
seemed to me like they were trying to do like a Thanos thing before Marvel gets to Thanos, and they were like, just use the mother boxes like Infinity Stones. That's not really what they are, but just do like an Infinity Stones thing where you put them all together and it terraformed. I don't know what it is with them terraforming the Earth.
dude. I don't know. They love terraforming Earth.
It
So,
looked
like
very
that's their thing.
similar
Man of Steel.
to,
Let's terraform it to change it to
but the
Krypton.
visual of what they showed it to look like looked very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I know.
Their whole thing where like the blob thing came out of the plants and started like going down the street. It was
I know.
similar to that, but it was like
Yep.
crystally tendrils. And I'm like,
It was ego.
right, right. It was kind of
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah. What do you think of Flash?
Flash, I liked quite a bit actually. It was very different than the Grant Gustin's Flash. It was a
Who
lot
do you
more
prefer?
like fidgety and whatnot. I still prefer the look of Grant Gustin as far as what the Flash would look like,
Yeah.
but I don't dislike his outfit as much as I expected to. The actual Flash suit.
It wasn't as distracting.
Right. And personality wise, I think somewhere in the middle of the two characters, because I like that he was kind of fidgety and impatient. That makes sense for him.
It does. Right.
But he was a little bit more socially awkward than I would have expected Barry Allen to be. I would expect Barry Allen to be a bit more, not necessarily sure of himself, but a lot more fun personality wise, whereas he seemed more neurotic. He did a lot of funny things, but he himself seemed more neurotic anyway. Like he just seemed like all over the place and whatnot, which, you know, I think is fine. They seemed like they knew what they wanted out of the Flash the whole time. I don't know how
Right.
much changed from the original version. Like, that's another shot from the trailer. They had a shot in the trailer where Flash like pushes his finger through a window and all the glass like explodes outwards as he's like going through it. That's not in there, but and also they cast Iris. She wasn't in there.
Yep.
They cast Willem Dafoe as some Aquaman character. He wasn't in it. But I'm sure they shot this stuff, so I'm just very curious, like how different it is. It seems like it must have changed quite a bit.
Yeah. Yep. Like they probably might have been part of the first edit.
Right, like they had the scene of how they get Superman back to life or whatever, or wake him up or whatever you want to call it, because they kept saying like his cells haven't deteriorated or all.
Plus, it's like
He's
it's
just
essentially the power of the mother box that was used to to turn Cyborg into who he is
right.
was supposed to just resurrect him. You know, like finish him off, but it didn't. And maybe this one can if they use the same resurrecting method that Lex Luthor did. With
Right, so they did a half
Doomsday.
one, half the
Yeah,
other, which I don't know
pretty
why
much.
they would think. Well, it worked out great with Zod.
Right.
Let's try that again, but with a way more powerful
But I mean,
instrument.
I can understand that in that aspect because it's like when Luthor did it with Zod to create
Mm-hmm.
Doomsday,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have the mother box. He didn't have. Did he have the mother box?
He didn't have. Well, they showed him mother boxes at the end, but that was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
weird hologram thing
Right, right.
with a
But
way cooler looking version of Steppenwolf.
dude, totally. Now, if Steppenwolf was like that CG version of
I would have
Steppenwolf,
been more fine with it.
way cooler.
Yeah, because it didn't
Not
have
this
the goofy humanoid face on the front
yeah,
of it.
don't you didn't need that. One cool scene again, like they did the. It was part of. I think it was during the Amazon thing, or maybe when Steppenwolf was talking about why he was there, how they showed like how Steppenwolf came
In the
like
past.
in the past, and you got like the Green Lanterns were there, you got the actual gods, the old gods and shit. I thought that was neat.
See, and now
I thought that was
I've
neat.
heard that there's a bunch of other characters in that scene
Yeah.
that I definitely didn't notice. Like I saw the one Green Lantern, that big ugly thing where he does the construct or whatever, and then bites it and the ring flies off. But I heard Martian Manhunter is somewhere in there.
Oh.
I didn't see that. I heard.
There's a lot going on there. That's the problem.
There's a fuck ton of stuff. I heard Ares is there, the villain from Wonder Woman, because it was supposed to be them fighting the old gods as well. That he's somewhere in the crowd fighting as well.
It wouldn't surprise
but
me.
they
I'm
said
sure there's
they said it
tons.
was aliens. Everybody's supposed to be there.
I'm
So
sure it's tons.
that's one on Blu-ray that I'm gonna be like pausing
Yes.
to like see
Oh,
who's
at this
there.
point, you might not even have to do that. I'm sure someone, once it's out, they're
Right,
gonna make YouTube videos revealing all that shit.
right,
Anyways.
for sure.
But I thought that was neat because I was like, cool,
It was nice to kind of build out the world, but it's also confusing because, yeah, even that the whole scene. I don't think he did it in the movie, but Steppenwolf has that whole like, there was no lanterns and no Kryptonians and yada yada, so it's the perfect time to strike. And I'm just
I
like,
think he might have talked. I think he might have mentioned stuff like that when he was in the power plant,
but I'm like,
in the Russian power plant.
how long did Superman exist for? He was like Superman for a day before Man
No,
of
no,
Steel.
they knew of Krypton. Like obviously the old gods knew of Kryptonians though.
Okay, but they haven't existed
I
for
know,
30
no
years
idea.
or however old Superman is.
Unless of course like I don't know, dude.
It just seems bizarre. Like that little bit of dialogue didn't help the story.
As if a lot of things help the story.
That's my thing though. It's because of
Let's focus
because
on a
of the
random Russian family, by the way.
that seemed kind of Whedon-y to me too. To be honest with you, because there was a lot of emphasis on like have them saving people this time and show them saving people, because it very much seemed like Whedon was aware of the things that people compared between Avengers, and also after these movies have come out, after we've seen this Justice League movie, honestly, go back and rewatch Age of Ultron. Anybody out there that didn't like Age of Ultron when it came out? Because it's very similar in its structure. They even like down to at some point they all got to fight Superman. Hulk goes crazy in theirs, and they have to have a full-on Hulk fight. It's very similarly structured. I think that Age of Ultron gets a bad rap, dude. Because look, they've got a fully CG villain just like Steppenwolf, but Ultron was amazing. Like he had personality. He had a full arc on why he wanted everything gone. Like we understood his motivations.
Check it. He had a less humanoid face that was more expressive.
Exactly. It's so bizarre. But
makes no sense.
But yeah, again, I'm stacking negatives here, but there are a lot of things that happen in the movie that I enjoyed. When they first resurrect Superman and they're all fighting him, I think they handled that well. Only thing I didn't like about that is it was, and I understand why it was the way it was, but it was very clearly a fake environment.
Oh yeah.
That they are fighting.
Plus, it was like a fake day, like a dusk.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because they're fighting around like a statue or something, and it's supposed to be out in the daylight, and it just very clearly the environment doesn't exist. Because it was like, I'm sure they had to film it on a soundstage. One, because they don't want to give anything away when you see Superman out and everyone's fighting him. Someone would take a picture of that, and you go, "Oh, Superman's coming back," and everyone's fighting him. So clearly they had to film it on a soundstage, but it didn't look like anyone was really there. So it was some of the scenes just weren't believable visually, but
Like
still
the city was empty.
still cool stuff was happening. Like
Yeah, no, dope shit.
you know,
Like lots of it.
They had some kind of some payoffs from BVS when he finally gets over to Batman. He like grabs him. He's like, "I remember you. Do you bleed?"
Yeah.
Like that was kind of a cool moment. But then they like also once he like pimp slaps Batman away, then he's like rolled on the ground. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely bleeding somewhere."
Yeah,
That didn't seem like a Batman thing to say, but I understood the payoff. It felt very Whedon-y.
I don't think that payoff was needed because when Lois got there and started yelling Clark, which again is just why.
Because Flash told him that was the secret, dude.
I know,
that
but
was
why
their payoff to
Clark?
that. Can you believe that was the payoff to that scene? Is Flash going back in time or whatever and being like, Lois is the key. That was it.
I know.
Because they never referenced that again, so I have to assume that's what he meant.
It's so weird.
Yep. Because I think they were just doing stuff, not sure what was going to happen.
Regardless of that, like they didn't have to show Batman saying, "Oh, but something is bleeding," whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Superman turned his head to look at Lois and he just kind of dropped Batman, you heard the
right,
like he landed hard. I actually started laughing when it happened because I was like, "He's done, done." Batman, yes.
The scene where the Flash runs up on Superman though, and you just see his eye move and follow him was my favorite scene in the entire movie because as that little subtle eye movement is happening, you're seeing Barry's face change as he's like, what the fuck is he actually seeing me right now? It was so good. It was so good.
I loved it.
And he just gets thwapped away like he's nothing.
But
I did like that when Superman is trying to hit him, he's dodging it all, and they're showing that he's fast enough to avoid getting hit quite a bit.
Thankfully.
Right. I'm glad that they did that. I just really feel like any of the interactions, sort of similarly to Suicide Squad in a way, all of the characters interacting with each other I liked quite a bit. I just feel like they were in a movie that could have been better. Like great casting all around.
Also with Suicide Squad.
For sure. Great casting all around, and really fun interactions with the characters. Just the story to me, in Justice League as well, was just very like cookie cutter. Like insert villain that wants to change the world thing.
He needs to do this. They need to form together. The great scenes are them together, like Wonder Woman being like the person that calms everybody down because it's all, all the boys.
Right. And I loved the Flash trying to save the family, and then you see Superman in the distance carrying a whole building.
Carrying a whole building. It's like, it's like, oh, all right, fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough. He's Superman.
Lots of those kinds of little moments were really, really great to me. I feel like the villain stuff was a complete misfire. Some people were being like, well, it's, just like a Marvel villain, the villains are blah.
No, he's not.
But I really don't, like, if he is like any Marvel villain, I feel like he's the most like the Dark Elf guy from Dark World. Whatever that guy's name. Malekith, yeah. I feel like he's the closest to that.
Reason being is because I have no idea what the deal is with this villain.
No, he's just preparing the world for Darkseid because they mention him one time and never show him.
One time. He is that.
And once Superman is in that fight, Steppenwolf had no hope, dude. He was getting mollywopped by Superman like he wasn't shit.
And that's what's crazy about it. I was gonna say this earlier, but I was like, technically, Superman could have just destroyed Steppenwolf by himself.
If this was just a Superman movie, he probably would have still been fine if it was just him.
I think somebody mentioned afterwards, like, wait, why, how come? So Doomsday is more powerful than Steppenwolf? I'm like, think about it. Doomsday is a Kryptonian mutant.
Right.
Yes.
Strength-wise, sure, exactly.
Absolutely. Steppenwolf without his hammer that got. I like Superman used his ice breath.
Yeah, that was the first time we've seen his ice breath, actually. Although I'm just like, that was the secret destruction of this mystical hammer that can turn people into bugs is that you just
That
make
and
it
then
really cold and punch it.
mhm.
It just that seemed a little bit silly to me. Like if that happened to Thor, somebody just froze the thing and then punched it.
Yeah.
It would be
No.
silly. Like he fights ice giants all the time. Like that's the weakness is
Exactly.
just making it
They can
cold.
just dude's like, wait a second. So all we have to do is freeze it and stomp it.
Right. Right. It just seemed kind of silly to me.
Whereas here it's like he freezes it
And
then she shatters it with his sword.
and once Superman whops him up, that's
Yeah.
pretty much
He's
the
done.
end of the fight because it just makes him scared enough to where all the bug people just eat
Parademons
him,
are
I
like,
guess,
oh, we
or
smell
whatever.
your fear. We're gonna eat you.
Yeah, and then his helmet drops almost exactly
Mhm.
like Ragnarok did with the Surtur helmet.
That's what I was gonna say. Oh, for a
Right.
second I was like, that's a Surtur scene, right? Like,
Right.
is it the
Why does
same
it look
helmet?
so familiar?
Yeah. So weird.
Um,
So weird. And everyone's like in the sunset, smiling.
there was a couple moments like that though that I really thought were great. Like one, the Barry when he gets to the Batcave and he's like running all around the Batcave to
Yeah.
look at everything. Great scene. But
Right.
another
Funny.
one with Barry
Very humorous.
that's
very
real
good.
subtle. That's real subtle. Like only if you're looking directly at his face would you even notice it. But they have a scene where they're all going up the elevator together, and everyone is like real, like
Mhm.
badass and stoic as they're looking up and like getting ready for this big fight. And Barry's just looking up like this.
Yeah,
Like, it's fully
exactly.
still that he's there. He's the
He's-
happiest.
Like when you think about it, he is Peter Parker
All right.
to Batman's Tony Stark.
Similar, for sure.
In a
And we could
sense,
tell that
abs-
before the trailer came out.
Absolutely. But like again, at the start, it's like I've got no friends, blah blah blah. So doing all this, it's like, oh, he's finally feeling like he can belong somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So, sort of, jumping ahead because this is almost as quickly as the pacing went in this movie, as far as like scene to scene. What did you think of the two post-credit scenes?
First one you've got was a fun one.
It was fun. It was definitely
was
fan
fun.
servicey. Also, definitely a Whedon thing.
Oh,
You had
That
the
lip?
digital lip was on point. So
was like it's annoying orange lip.
right. It was pretty weird looking.
Yeah. But it's like cool. Like it's weird how this is the Superman that we've waited for, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like a
it
more
took him three-
jovial.
right? Like he is the Superman thing. And him running against Flash, that was fun.
Mhm.
Second one, obviously a breakout in Arkham.
With his master
Uh,
plan of just put another bald guy there.
Yeah,
It was so bizarre to me. That was the master plan, is just any other bald guy. So bizarre. But so Lex escapes, but we don't know that yet. All we see is like, and I could tell that that's what I was looking at immediately, because you see just the silhouette of somebody in a boat,
oh yeah.
and you don't know where they're going or whatever.
I knew it wasn't it. Yeah.
But as soon as I saw the ribbons coming off it, I was
Yep,
like, "That's
exactly.
Deathstroke."
Exactly.
And so he,
I knew instantly.
yeah, he stops
knew
next to
instantly.
another
Yep.
larger boat or whatever and
Mhm.
climbs up, and they show the full suit. He looks legit. He looks
Yeah.
so dope. He looks like the Arkham.
I'm down. I'm
Deathstroke.
down for that. You do that, I'm down with it.
He pulls the helmet off. They did the full white hair, the full white goatee, and everything. The eye patch
everything.
looked a little wonk to me, but
It did.
the rest of it, he looked cool.
Right. I'm sure the eye patch will look better in his own film.
and he looked great. And
Yep.
they show Lex. He's back. He's in his suit, bald head. He's the full Lex Luthor. To me, he seemed fine. This version of Lex
Yeah.
seems fine. And
I'm okay with his version of Lex though.
yeah, his version of Lex didn't necessarily bother me, but in this setting of him dressed up, like fully embracing it,
Yes.
got the bald head and everything, I'm like,
Way more
yeah,
Lex.
do it. And
This
get
is
the
more
power
Lex
suit.
than
But anyway,
Exactly.
so he
Exactly.
sees Deathstroke and says, "Don't you think it's time that we had a league of our own?" Which would be great if in the next movie they're being coached by Tom Hanks and they all play
League of Our Own,
baseball
you got
together.
It's Madonna Day.
Right, that would be great. But yeah, so it means we're going to get some sort of either Legion of Doom or Injustice League. But I am also curious, is that for the Justice League sequel? Like, we won't see that team assembled until whenever Justice League 2 comes out?
If that happens.
Yeah, I'm just very curious. I kind of wish we would just skip all the solo ones. Except
Dude,
for
real,
Flashpoint, because I want to see that. Everything else, just wait and do Justice League 2 after. I just want to see that team together right now. I don't want to wait. Who else do you think they'll put on that team? Besides, we got Lex, we got Deathstroke. Who else is going on that bad guy team? Probably Black Manta.
Yeah.
Who else is going on that team? That's 3. We got to have another 6.
What about a Flash villain? What about Reverse Flash?
Reverse Flash, probably, because we'll have seen him by then if they do the Flashpoint thing.
I don't know any Wonder Woman villains.
Cheetah?
Ares? No.
Nah, I don't want to see Ares again. I'd rather have Cheetah, even though it's going to be confusing to make sense. It's like a cat person versus a god lady.
Yeah.
Like, why does it make sense? I don't know enough about Cheetah to understand why she can fight Wonder Woman. I'll have to look into that further. But probably her, because she's the most relevant Wonder Woman villain.
Who's a Cyborg villain? Who's a Titan villain?
Deathstroke.
But then who is the Batman villain?
Joker.
Oh, but he's part of Suicide Squad. Actually, yeah, you could pull in Joker.
Yeah, if Batman could show up, then Joker
make a
could
Joker.
Show up. Do you think they would have Leto show up and be a part of the Injustice League?
I'm okay with that because I was fine. Just give me a better story.
Use him better.
Yes, exactly. Because he will pull it off. He will dedicate himself to that role.
Do you think even now that he's seen the reaction to it and everything, you think now he'd come back and still be as dedicated?
I'm sure he's like, no, I gotta prove these guys.
Even with them doing like a separate Joker movie with Scorsese and all that shit, I feel like I would be, if it was me, I would be a little bit bitter that they felt like that was necessary.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm not good enough to do this myself. They gotta bring in somebody else and do it.
But like, that's not even part of the actual DCEU, though.
Right. Well,
so it's
we don't know. Point? We don't know what it is right now.
Dude, again, I don't think they know what they want to do.
Right. I don't either.
Well, all right, take it. All right. We're talking about this Legion of Doom, right? Mm-hmm. Is Black Adam going to be part of it? Is Shazam going to be part of the Justice League now?
I hope Black Adam is part of it. I think that would be infinitely more interesting.
Because then when Wonder Woman, like, because when Bruce Wayne's like, oh, maybe we should put a table here so that we can gather, at my old
6
mansion.
seats, maybe more.
6 seats, like, yeah, exactly, maybe more. It's like, cool. That means you're gonna add Green Lantern.
Right.
You're gonna add.
You gotta have a lantern.
Shazam.
Maybe Shazam.
Maybe Shazam.
Who do you
maybe
think
Martian
else?
Manhunter? I don't know.
Martian Manhunter. It would be interesting to see a movie version of that character, but I can't see him getting his own movie, so I don't know if they would put him.
But see, I'm okay with that because to me, he's like the Vision.
For sure.
Doesn't need a
Vision
solo
doesn't
film.
need a solo movie.
Exactly.
Fully.
He'll be great in that team. He's great within a background of another film.
It's got a silly name though.
What's up?
It's got a silly name.
Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter's kind of a silly name for a new guy.
Absolutely. It's like we can't just call you Eminem, can we? No.
Right. Who else do you think would go on the Justice League team? Who else would join late? Shazam and Martian Manhunter and a lantern. I don't think Manhunter's happening.
Manhunter's not needed. Shazam and a lantern.
Yeah. Zachary Levi is part of the Justice League now.
Cool.
In theory.
In theory. Whereas The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson is one of the... That makes sense to me still.
Mm-hmm.
He's like easily one of the most powerful villains, though.
If any of this stuff comes to fruition, I'm interested to see it.
Absolutely.
The movie was good enough to make me not come out hating it. Right. There was just a lot of visual inconsistencies
especially with the budget.
that were kind of just, yeah, they spent a lot of money on that because they essentially had to make several movies to get to this point. I would love to see what Zack Snyder's original plan was, because obviously it was going to be different. Because they had that scene with Bruce looking at the hologram of Superman that was in the trailer. That was not there. They had that scene where Alfred is like, "Oh, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it in time.
Yeah.
I hope you can get in there in time to save them," implying Superman arrived in a different way.
Yep.
I wonder if there was a different resurrection plan before they got to that.
Exactly. I don't like,
because I feel like
all these things.
that scene of them digging the grave where it's Flash and Cyborg digging together.
Yep.
I feel like that was a reshot scene.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if there was a different plan to get him out. Like maybe he was, and there was that Instagram photos of they had like a black suit for Superman. They were gonna do like the silver thing. There had to be a different way he was resurrected originally. I don't think they're gonna do like a Snyder cut, but man, I'd love to see what that is. I'd love to see it, just to see how different it is.
The reason why there won't be a Snyder cut, I think, anyways, is because the film is still technically directed by Snyder. Joss Whedon wasn't credited as a co-director or anything.
Was he not?
He was no. At the start and at the end, he was just listed as a writer.
Okay, I did see the screenplay by him. But yeah, I'm very curious, man. I'm curious what his full version of it was, because it seems like story-wise there was a lot of stuff that was different. You could tell there was a lot of reshot things, and even though those reshot things were good, they were filling up something that used to be there, So
we have to remove so many things that we have to fill those gaps with a new part to make it a little bit more better.
I'm very curious if when he left, they said it was because of his daughter or whatever, but that happened before. He had already like filmed a bunch after that and basically finished the movie. So I'm just wondering if they used that as an excuse to like softly get him out of the way and not say, we were panicking with what we were handed. We hired Joss Whedon to make it more like Avengers, throwing these jokes and shit.
Do you think the final battle was a Snyder or Whedon?
I think a lot of the fight stuff was Snyder. I think that they rewrote stuff, the in-between sections on how to get to each action beat.
From A to B.
Right.
Yeah.
And because it very much felt like, like if we did the rest of this episode and your mouth moved but my voice came out of it, I feel like that's what this movie was.
It's weird.
I feel like the whole movie looked like Zack Snyder, but with Joss Whedon's voice coming out of it. It just very much felt like the humor and the interactions with the characters and whatnot felt like him talking, but a lot of the visuals looked like Snyder's visuals. The stuff with him running and whatnot. The only scene that it looked weird him running was towards the end where they were showing Flash, and it almost looked like he was ice skating. He was doing like a Frozone kind of thing.
He also just looked weird.
It was awkward. Yeah, it was very awkward, like body.
And I was
movement.
like, no wonder he stumbled a couple of times, because he runs weird.
He does. It looked like they had him on some kind of weird treadmill, and they had him up on wire rigs or something, and they were like, just do the biggest stride you can do, and we'll just make that look like you're busting through the city or whatever.
Did Wonder Woman have a final type shot? What was her final type shot? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember how they closed things out for
her.
her.
Cyborg was at his scientist dad's lab. Now he's
right.
He's interacting with them now. And then
they did. They showed
those?
Wonder Woman I think talking to people, like helping or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
And she was like out in the open now. She's like fully representing herself instead of being hidden or yada yada.
Cool. Did Superman have one? Oh yeah. His one was. He's Clark Kent, and he opened up. His shirt.
He runs and does that. But how are they gonna get away with that? Because I really felt like I thought what happened was
there's no way he can work for the day whatever newspaper anymore.
Because he should have been dead, but at the end he was moving his folks back in, or his mom
Yep.
back into the house. Everybody was moving stuff there. They had to see that he's alive. They had to see
Bruce Wayne, dude.
But they were both there. They were both.
I know
there.
that, but that's what I'm saying. They could have just said, this is an easy thing to fix. Basically, it's like, oh, he had to fake his death, blah blah blah, to get to because of some story.
Right. I just don't know, man. I don't know. Because I felt like when Superman comes
It's
back,
not good. I'm not saying it's good.
When they all fight him in daytime, and when Lois comes up, and she's like, Clark,
Yeah,
dude's been flying
There's
around.
still police
shit.
Officers behind.
That's what I'm saying. They should have at that moment just been like, okay, Clark is Superman.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Now we understand it. It's out in the open. Superman, Clark Kent are one person. I feel like in that moment, just make it that. You don't have. He doesn't have to be Clark, like fake undercover Clark Kent anymore. He doesn't have to.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But anyway,
I don't know.
But yeah, the movie was what it was. I'd like to see it again. I definitely didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it even. It just had weird visual things, and I'd love to see one of these movies kind of just get made without issues.
Right,
like Wonder Woman kind of had that, and that movie seems pretty cohesive. They did go back and change some things, but it seems like a pretty cohesive experience. Man of Steel also that, but I feel like BVS, Suicide Squad, and Justice League all got chopped up super hard and re-put back together.
A lot of issues were the ones that had a lot of issues,
visual issues for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it was a terrible outing. It's one of the few that have come out where I for sure would like to own it, because enough cool stuff happens in it that I'd like to watch it on Blu-ray. Fully get the experience. I'd like to see the special features if they even were able to salvage any.
See, to me, the special me buying it would depend on the special features.
Right. So we'll see when it comes out. I'm curious if there'll be a longer edit, but that pretty much covers
the next solo films, though. By the way, like Aquaman, if the trailer doesn't impress me, I don't think I'm gonna watch that. Flashpoint, I'm more intrigued by because it's Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, I'm going to see either way because it's probably my favorite of the animated movies. Maybe with the exception of Justice League War, because that was basically just Avengers with the DC skin on it.
That's why it was so good.
Right. So I'm very curious to see those. Aquaman, I think I'm going to go see it. Unless the trailer actively looks terrible, I will probably see it because I really want to see how that world works.
Right, I'm curious.
As
I'm
a
curious.
visual
Depends where
language.
I am. If I'm over there when
Right.
it comes out, then I'll watch it.
Right.
But it really depends on what's going on.
Do we have any more superhero movies this year?
Nope, we're
done. I guess we got Star Wars
in
now.
a month.
Yeah, that's
not
it.
superheroes,
But that's the
next
closest
thing.
thing.
Yep. That's the next and the last of this year.
And then we get Black Panther in February. So we got a little while to wait. Gather up some stuff.
Time flies.
Oh yeah. But anyhow, I think that covers our bases for this episode.
Yep.
So until the next one, guys, stay Chipper Chaps.
Hey, Chamba.
Peace.